let's talk about a few principles of giving and receiving. For some time I was in prayer discerning um, what God had to say as far as, giving and receiving. I was recently speaking with somebody, and they were saying that this generation expects so much for nothing. And I had to agree with them. And then on the other hand, I kind of got convicted myself, and I'm thinking, well, sometimes I'm not necessarily expecting, but I'm thinking that someone's going to give me something, and then they don't, or they do. And so I was kind of going through that, and I'm like, Lord, what does that look like? And one of the things when it comes to the business is I offer free drug and alcohol policy consultations. Now, this takes a lot of time. Not only do I have to connect with you, set up meetings with you, I'm also reading through it with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm looking at the laws, the regulations, whatever may pertain to that situation. I'm getting to know your company and the history and what you want, why you want this policy, so that we can have that verbiage in there so that your employees understand what your expectation is of them. And, even my husband said, why do you do that for free? That just doesn't make sense to me. And, I was just sharing with people yesterday that I like to go the extra mile for people because I like to treat everyone as if they're family. And we all want the best for our family, right? So I was reading in 1 John today, and he started showing me the principles. So I want to share with you 1 John 3:17 reads, "If a person owns the kinds of things we need to make it in the world, but refuse to share with those in need, is it even possible that God's love lives in them?" Is it possible? So I guess I like to, that was the answer to my question with my husband. I have knowledge that I can offer to someone, and I want to be able to give that to them. And, when we go back to having expectations, I'm not having an expectation of gaining your business. I'm not having an expectation of being paid. I don't have any expectations. What I am expecting is for God's principles to fall into place as his word says. And, only God can move someone's heart. If they want to bless you, praise God, they bless you. But, the thing that I always stood on throughout my walk with God was Proverbs 11:25, which reads, "The one who blesses others is abundantly blessed. Those who help others are helped." So I always look at it, if somebody's going to help me, God's going to help them. Or if I'm going to help somebody, God's going to help me. It's what we reap and sow that is so important, and that's what God's principles are. Don't have expectations. But, if God puts it on your heart to have a conversation with somebody and you really think that they need to seed into your life, don't just come out and say, "Hey, I heard God say that you needed to give me this." But just tell them, this is what's going on. This is what I need. And if God moves their heart, then you will get what you receive. And let's go back to that. If a person owns the kind of things we need to make it in the world but refuse to share, is it even possible that God lives in him? Maybe we need to be praying for people rather than scoffing and scorning because we didn't get what we thought was expected. I want to wrap this up with 2 Corinthians 9:6, which reads, "But I will say this to encourage your generosity. The one who plants little harvests little, and the one who plants plenty harvests plenty." At the end of the day, God knows our hearts, and he sees us, and he always blesses us abundantly. But sometimes we have to give a little to get a little. Sometimes we have to give a lot to get a lot. I was just sharing with my family last night, until somebody is willing to give up their self, think about that. Giving up yourself, your selfishness, what you want, what you think you need. When you give all of that up and give it to God, he is going to open the doors of heaven and pour out treasures more abundantly than you could ever imagine. And I just thank God every day, that he chose me, that he wanted me a part of his kingdom, and to walk obediently hand in hand next to his side and provide a service for people and give them knowledge and wisdom and love, because that's what it comes down to, is love. So remember God's principles. Have a blessed day.